In this video, we're going to review the process of making a new action on a patient. An action is some task or event that needs to occur for a patient. It can happen immediately or it can be set to go in the future. In other electronic medical records, this might be called tasks or future flags. Once these tasks are created, they can then be assigned to any user in the eClinicalWorks system. In this example, we're going to take a patient, in this case a fake patient, and let us suppose that we are seeing the patient for today's visit, and then we decide that there's a future item that we need to take care of. To make an action, when I'm within the patient's chart, and here's the name of the fake patient here, I simply click on the hub and it will bring up the patient's hub. On the left hand side you can see the button that says Action. When you click on it, there are two options. One says a new action, the other is to view actions which have previously been created on this patient. We're going to create a new action. I click on it and the action window appears. The patient's name is pre-populated. The items that have a red asterisk have to be completed. In this case, we can either select the action from the drop-down list or we can just type one. In this example, I'm using a simple subject where I want someone to call the patient to see if they're feeling better. Now I need to assign it to someone. I can either choose from the drop-down list, which could be quite extensive, or if I click on the ellipsis, I can search for them by name. Also notice there's a button called My Favorites. If you have previously set up favorite users, then it will only show those rather than the entire list. In this case, I'm going to send it to this fake user called Urgent Care MA and click OK. It is now assigned to the user functioning as Urgent Care MA. You can see the start date and the due date. By default, it sets the due date immediately. You also need to set the status. In this case, I'm going to set the status to not started, and I'm going to leave it normal priority. Now in this case, I want the patient to get called next week to see if she's getting better. So I'm going to change the due date here from today's date to a date next week, let's say Friday the 6th. Here I can write any notes that I want the person receiving the action to be aware of. So in this case, it's now going to have the note telling the Urgent Care MA to ask the patient if they're feeling better. This is not going to show up for the Urgent Care MA as an action to perform until the due date arrives. Now if I click OK at this point, the action will disappear from view, and then it will actually show up on the T jelly bean, which is over here on the person logged in or checking the Urgent Care MA actions in this case. Also notice there are other options here that we can put recurrent actions. When you click recurrent actions, then you have a lot more options to choose from. In this case, I might choose something that I want to happen every 3 months, and I want it to end after 12 occurrences. If I do this, it's going to create a new action every 3 months, and it's going to send this same action to the Urgent Care MA. This might be beneficial for the patient who needs regular reminders to come in for their blood test for, say, their hemoglobin A1C. This is one where I might write an action for them to be called and reminded every 3 months to come in. Once I hit OK, this is created, and the action will now pop up on the due date, which is 1 week from now. I'm going to remove the recurrent action here because I don't want this to be a recurrent action. In this case, now if I hit OK, the action window disappears, and a week from now a new entry will appear in the T jelly bean for the user who is functioning as Urgent Care MA. If I want to see any actions which have already been created, again, we can go back in the Patient Hub to Action. View Actions, and here a new window pops up and we can see those actions that have been created. In this case, we have the option to choose any or all of the providers, the user to whom is it assigned to, and the status, whether it's not started, in progress, or completed. Once they are marked completed, then they will disappear from the jelly bean.